Yes, brothers and sisters, lovers, haters, boys and girls, vibrations of the mind of the one true God. How is everybody this evening? I certainly hope everybody's well. Love and light to everybody. Now, I was just watching, I wasn't watching actually, I was listening to a live from Making Gains. Fergal had Dean Lynch Ward on the other night. Big shout out to Fergal and Making Gains. I'm going to put his link in the description. I like that fella a lot. And I'm going to be making some content with him real soon. Good content, which I think everybody's going to enjoy. Big respect to Fergal. Now, moving on. I was listening. I had it turned up and I was sorting supper for the girls in there. And I was listening to Dean Lynch Ward on his live. And I heard Dean Lynch Ward say, my ears just picked up when I heard Dean Lynch Ward say that he had an amateur record of 67 amateur fights and 64 wins. Wow. Now, my ears certainly picked up at that point because as a former two-time ABA quarter-finalist, 2 seasons running, and a North West Counties champion in the amateurs, I found that difficult to believe because I've boxed some good kids. I have boxed some good kids in the amateurs, kids who went on to be good pros. The best kid I ever shared a ring with was a lad called Joe Selkirk, a Scouser. He boxed out of Rotunda, and he was the bogey man in that division. You know, and he stopped me getting any further in the championships because he was levels above us, and the referee stopped the fights because he smashed us to bits. Levels above me. Now, I wasn't the best amateur, but I was a reasonable amateur. I operated at a good level. But even Joe Selkirk didn't have a record like that. Now, if you had gathered that much momentum where you'd had 67 fights and you'd only lost 3, you would undoubtedly be an England representative. You would have certainly snatched up multiple national titles. You know, so I'm not calling bullshit and I'm not starting beef. This is me with an opinion. You know, someone who's got a bit of knowledge in the game. This is my opinion. My opinion is that is very difficult to believe. Very difficult to believe. It's an unsubstantiated claim so far, is what it is. It's just words. That's all it is. It's just words. Now, if that claim could be somehow, some way substantiated by way of medical card with your amateur boxing record on it, or newspaper clippings, or national titles, or area titles, or that comes with a badge and a certificate. If any of those things could be put up and this amateur record claim could be substantiated, you know, then I might be a believer. As it stands, I'm scratching my head thinking, really? Now, no disrespect intended, but if you're going to put records like that out there and expect, you know, experienced boxers like myself to swallow that, then you're gonna have to substantiate them claims. You know, if you don't want to substantiate them, and listen, Dean Lynch Ward doesn't have to prove anything to me. I've met Dean Lynch Ward in person and I got on with him well. I've got respect for him, right? But to come out with a record like that, an unsubstantiated claim, and expect people with a bit of know-how in the game like myself to believe that without any proof, it's a very difficult one. You know, it's a very difficult one indeed. Now, records like that are people who are on their way to winning world titles in the pros. That's an elite amateur record. And I'd like to see it substantiated for me to be a believer. I've lost all interest in this upcoming fight. I'm not bothered. If it's on, I'll watch it. If it's not, you know, I'm just going to get on with my life and do me, as I'm doing. But all I'll say is this. If anybody had a record an amateur record of 67 fights and 64 wins that'd be known nationally on the amateur circuit. Because I know personally, I know Commonwealth champions, I know multiple time ABA champions, national champions. I know lads who's represented England. My little nephew's represented England. He's been over to Romania and been an England rep, ABA champion. And even he hasn't got a record like that. You know, those records are for elite fighters, elite amateurs. Now, I wasn't a bad amateur. I had a couple of goes in the ABAs, won a North West Counties title, but I had 19 amateur fights and I won 12. And I thought I was, you know, about middle of the pile, above average maybe. But the best lad I ever fought didn't have a record like that. And I know very, very high level amateurs who've boxed all over the world in the world championships. You know, I know Olympians, I know Olympian boxers who haven't got a record like that. So if it's possible to substantiate them claims, I'd certainly like to see them for us to be convinced of such a record. Until then, I'll just think, really? You know, really? But that's my opinion. This is just me, a YouTuber, ex-boxer with an opinion. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just giving me opinion. And my opinion is that is very hard to believe. Now, thanks for listening, people. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a nice night.